Well, Winterfest has been open for a little while now, and we've gathered some of the most prominent Kings Island fans to discuss their thoughts on it. Hello, everybody. Alongside Don Helbig, I'm Ryan Sir, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Topics, the podcast by Kings Island fans for Kings Island fans, because that's who we are, and that's who we care about.
Hey, let's kick this off by thanking some of our Prestige members. I want to thank Jacob Fix, Miss Mandy 1983, Lil Mac 21, Brian Hauser, Logan Lipper, 330T, and Aaron Board. Thank you guys so much for supporting Tower Topics at the highest level as a YouTube member, a Prestige level member. If you want to be involved in Tower Topics, members get early access to videos, exclusive content, exclusive live streams, and sometimes you even get free stuff at certain levels. There's a link in the description if you'd love to be involved. So thank you to everyone who's done that. So Don, what do we got going on?
Well, we have our Roundtable show for this episode, and what we've done, as you mentioned, we've gathered several Kings Island fans to join us on this panel who have been to WinterFest this year. They've all got their own opinions on what WinterFest is, what it's about, what they like about it, what maybe they don't like about it, and we'll find out. So we'll start to introduce our panel here. Let's bring up the first one is Chris Hughes. Chris, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Yeah. Brent Hodge.
Brent Hodge coming right up. Welcome to the show, Brent.
How are you doing?
Doing great. Brad Purdue.
How's it going, guys?
Central there. We're doing good. Let's bring up Troy.
Everyone.
Welcome. And we have Chris Leach.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. And David Bellamy Buys.
Welcome to the show, David. So Hello. This feels like a crammed elevator in here. I love it. We've never had so many people on the show before. But let's kick it right off. Let's talk about people's opinions. Don, what's your first thought?
Well, the first question to the panel is, what inspired you to attend WinterFest for the first time, and what keeps you coming back?
Okay, let's start off with the most Kings Island-y people in the group. Let's start with Chris Hughes. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I never got to do WinterFest when it first was a part of the park. When it came back in 2005, didn't get to do it. So when it came back in 2017, it was something that I definitely wanted to do. And love visiting the park in the winter, seeing the lights, and that's one of my favorite things.
Awesome. What about you, Brad? Brad is the media director for KICentral.com, my alma mater. What are your thoughts, Brad?
I kind of agree with Chris because I had heard so much about WinterFest. There's a bunch of stuff on KI Central about all the old versions of WinterFest from 2005 and earlier, and I never got to experience that. So when it was coming back, I really want to go see what the hype was about. And I got to say, it was impressive, and it didn't disappoint.
Okay, let's throw in Brent, you always have a lot of thoughts on the entertainment offerings and atmosphere. What are your thoughts on this?
I think, was it me or someone else? I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Brent Hodge. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think the entertainment piece is the thing that really can set this event apart from the crowded marketplace that's out there right now. There are so many Christmas events popping up. Everybody seems to be adding something every year. There's a new thing popping up. And the live entertainment piece, the overall atmosphere, the integration of all of that into the infrastructure of the park, to me is the one thing that this event has going for it that very few other events have the ability to recreate.
Yeah, absolutely. Don, what's your next question?
The next question is, what's your most cherished WinterFest memory, and why does it stand out to you?
David Bellamy, let's start with you.
For me, it was probably the first time I got to attend WinterFest. It was at the 2005 year, the one year that when Paramount owned the park and SpongeBob and all the other Nickelodeon characters were there. I never got to attend in the 80s when WinterFest had initially started, but For me, my greatest memory was being able to attend in 2005. And then the Cedar Fair acquisition came, and we didn't see it for several years after that. But it takes a lot for me to stop at guest relations on the going out of a park to give a compliment. And I actually remember stopping at guest relations on the way out. I said, "You guys did a fantastic job." I was really pleased.
Awesome. Chris Leach, what are your thoughts?
Well, as I look around the room here, I remember I'm probably one of the older of this crew. And I remember being in the park as a younger person in the 80s and just being in awe of the fact that we could go into the amusement park in winter and be able to explore and experience not all of the excitement of the rides and everything, but just the atmosphere of the park. And then as my kids got older, and we went in 2005 and 2000, and took them when they were little, and then it went away for a while, and I was just really disappointed. So since it's been back, we try to go at least once every season. Had a chance to go just after Thanksgiving, and it was a great way to start the holiday season.
Awesome. Troy, what about you?
So for me, it's always been being with family and friends. So every year, I've been trying to make this a tradition, is taking all my nieces and nephews to WinterFest and seeing them enjoy the lights and enjoy the rides as I do through their eyes. It's just always been special to me.
Cool. Don, what's the next question?
Which WinterFest attraction or experience do you make sure to visit every time?
I'm going to start with Brad Purdue on this one.
I really like going down the sledding hill. I don't know why, but I really enjoy doing that.
Awesome. Brent Hodge.
I actually would have said sledding hill until I have now experienced the real ice upgrade at somewhere else. We used to always try to hit sledding hill, but I have to say, after sliding down some real ice, the sledding hill has probably fallen a notch or two on our must-do list. When I'm with my youngest, I mean, we pretty much just walk around and take whatever hits us at the time. We don't really go with a specific agenda.
What about you, Chris Hughes? You're muted, sir.
Always have to hit up the carousel. No matter what, it's just magical riding it during WinterFest.
Yeah, I got to say, those are three answers that I did not expect. I kind of thought Tinker's Toy Factory, tree lighting, something like that. So that was rather entertaining. Don, what's the next subject?
The Racer is part of the ride lineup this year for the first time. So how do you feel about this edition of the iconic roller coaster during WinterFest?
Chris Leach, how do you feel about this? About the Racer being added?
I would have loved to have ridden the Racer during our visit this past time, but it wasn't open. I don't know if it was a staffing issue or whatever, but I was kind of disappointed. So we took a couple of turns on the on Mystic Timbers, which was just flying, and that's a different ride in dark and in cold. Mm-hmm. So that was a good experience. We also took the little ride on the trolley that goes down through Coney Mall. That was really kind of neat, the way that they did that ride, or that experience. But it gave you a chance to stop and look at the way the lights shine. It was pretty cool.
David Bellamy, thoughts on the Racer being added to the lineup?
That was the first thing I ran to, honestly. I was so excited to see it open. I loved the Christmas ornaments that they had hanging from the ride station. Those looked very retro. I thought it went really well with the Racer theme. And because I had fast lane, I was able to just get right back in line again and ride on both the red and blue sides. I had it all. I loved it.
What about you, Troy?
So adding another coaster to the lineup is always a welcomed addition. I didn't get to ride it last time. It was closed. From what I was explained to, was that it was too cold for it to run. So hopefully next time I get to visit, I will get my chance on that ride. But
Cool. Perfect. Don, what's the next subject?
The next question is, what's your favorite live show or holiday performance, and how does it add to the event's magic for you?
All right. For a favorite live show or holiday performance, I'll start with you, Brad Purdue.
I'm going to have to say the tree lighting. I really like that experience of bringing a family up to light up the tree. They're doing it with a magical ornament this year instead of the big light switch. So I do like that change, and just kind of starting the whole event off with the song, and that makes it really magical to start the evening.
Very cool. Brent Hodge, what are your thoughts?
Really loving the new Follies. I think it's a great ad. I think it perfectly fits the event. Feels like it's tying a lot of the new introductions together and giving sort of a comprehensive, almost time period thread to the event this year.
Cool. And finally, let's Chris Hughes, what's your favorite show?
So both of my favorite shows are no longer a part of Winterfest. What the Dickens and The Play Before Christmas. So despite that, I will have to go with the parade. Love watching the parade, seeing the merriment characters go through, as well as the floats. Great time.
Yeah. Don, next question.
How would you describe the atmosphere of Winterfest to someone that's never been?
Let's start with you, Dave Bellamy.
Is magical too cheesy or overused? I guess,
No.
but
No, it's in the marketing material.
it isn't Christmas unless you go. Yeah, it isn't Christmas unless you go to Winterfest, in my opinion.
Yeah. Chris Leach, how would you describe it?
Dave took my my answer, but I'm enthralled. I think that's my word. I like the lights. I like the atmosphere. So I enthralled. I get immersed in the lights and all of the action that's going on.
What about you, Brent Hodge?
I would say the way the park should feel year round. Turned up a few notches.
Yeah.
The first year, I mean, again, for this new iteration back in 2017, it just washed over me. It's like, this is what this park can feel like all the time with this major investment. The entertainment, the retail, the food, it was just firing on all cylinders. And that was year one before it actually has gotten as tight as it has. And that was my comment even to guest services that year is if this can feel like this in April, then it's a win.
I agree with you.
Don, what's the next question?
The next question is, what's your go-to holiday treat or meal at Winterfest, and why?
I'm going to you first, Troy.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would probably say the turkey dinner at the barbecue restaurant, Coney Barbecue.
That's an excellent choice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Great choice.
Chris Hughes, favorite holiday food item or treat?
I'm with Troy. Same thing. Love it.
All right. Brad Purdue, do you also like the turkey dinner at...
I do, but I put it second place. I like getting the mac and cheese bar because that's something you can't do any other time in the year. So it's kind of a special treat during Winterfest when you can do the mac and cheese bar.
All right, Don, tell them the answer we were looking for. What's your favorite?
I am
Just do
shocked
it.
that nobody
It's the
said
meatloaf sandwich, isn't it?
holiday meatloaf
Yeah.
burger. It is outstanding.
I
Although
haven't had it yet.
Oh,
it's
you
good.
must.
It's good.
you got, I mean, there is, there are so many different items that, you look at the picture, look at the description, or you walk by and you can kind of smell it coming out of the building and that I want to try. But my, lone visit so far, it was the holiday meatloaf burger. And, it's always been that, for me during Winterfest. But The other things that like the mac and cheese bar, being limited, I think that adds to it also. That you have to get it only during that time, and it's the same thing with the meatloaf burger.
Let's do one more. David Bellamy, favorite food item.
I remember telling Don on Facebook Messenger, I said I'd love the holiday meatloaf sandwich. When I saw the park advertise it, I thought I had to try it. So I tried it last Saturday and I loved it.
So there's a guy who knows what it's about.
Right. It's like the pub burger, but with like Yuletime carols, right?
That's right.
All right, Don, what's the next question?
If you could add a new holiday themed food or drink to the WinterFest menu, what would that be?
Let's start with Brent Hodge.
Oh, I don't know. I'll pass the torch on to another culinary expert here.
Brad Purdue.
Pressure.
Oh Lord, I haven't come up with anything yet either.
Yeah, they cover a lot of the bases. So
let me go to the desserts. Okay.
Yeah.
I love Sweet Spot and finding the different desserts there, but there's one thing that I wish that they would do, and I hope the culinary team is listening, is do a sampler platter there instead of individual. Do a half a serving for 2 or 3 things, and so that way it's like the big cookies and dough roll. Okay, I want to try that, but I can't eat that whole thing while I'm there. I'm not going to carry it around, so I haven't bought it. Okay, and I don't have enough people with me to share the whole thing. So I would love to be able to get a slice of that or put it in a sampler platter, and I think that would be a big seller where you could get a couple things for the price of like 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they actually did a flight of special fudges for Grand Carnival, if you guys recall. Now, the other idea, just to add on to yours, Brad, is that if they had like maybe a gift thing where you could get like different fudges or something like that, and it comes in a nice box, that would be another really cool idea.
Yeah.
Does anybody else? I know people are a little stumped because they kind of cover the turkey and the meatloaf and stuff.
I'm a meat and potatoes guy, so I would have went with like beef Wellington or like a prime rib. That's just my opinion.
Prime rib sounds good.
That's
a holiday.
You're okay in my book.
Right.
Now, with that being said, they might have something like that in the International Restaurant that I don't think that's been open yet this year. It's closer to Christmas that they actually do that. But if anybody's on the fence about that, the view, I mean, just show of hands, how many people have been up there for WinterFest or New Year's Eve? Just a few of you guys. Yeah, it's the view is outstanding and the food is just incredible. Don, what's the next question?
Well, we're going to stay on the culinary path here for a minute. Do you feel that WinterFest offers enough options for all tastes? If not, what would you like to see added?
Oh, for taste outside of the holiday food?
Does it offer enough options? Is there something that's missing that, you go there, but there's really nothing for somebody in your family, maybe yourself, you want to see something else added to the menu? Or something like during the summer season that's still there that was taken off the menu.
Right.
I think they still offer chicken dinners, which is pretty much, I feel like it's a safe bet for everybody. I mean, it's in every restaurant, just about chicken tenders. But this time of year is always like the most unique food offerings by Kings Island. Honestly, I think this time of year is when their best food is out there, truthfully.
I think it's the best food. It's the best merchandise. It's the best shows. It really is Kings Island at its best. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah, totally.
Most definitely.
Cool. Don, next question, please.
As a season pass holder, how does WinterFest enhance your overall experience at Kings Island?
There's only one person we can start with this, Chris Hughes.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's a great added bonus to the standard season. When most parks close for the season, you've got Kings Island to look forward to, and really, really appreciate being able to visit the park from right around Thanksgiving all the way up to New Year's.
And New Year's is the best night to go, by the way.
If
you haven't been there, so fun. Brad Purdue.
I would have to agree with Chris here. Having that extra time of being able to get in a park. I really love New Year's Eve. I missed it last year, and I hope I can get there this year to be there, because I really missed it hanging out with some friends there last year, and it really adds to the value of your pass, obviously, with all the extra time. But my favorite time of the year is WinterFest. I mean, I love the regular season and such, but there's just something magical. And adding Racer this year, man, I rode that last weekend, and I got off just smiling the whole way down the exit ramp. Just seeing all the lights and such, and being able to do something that first time we've ever been able to do it. And so I don't know, I was kind of giddy about it.
Last comment, David Bellamy. Looks like David is a little bit. Let's do Chris Leach instead.
I love being there when it snows. It's an amazing experience. Several years back, we were able to take a tour for the holiday party for ACE, and we were able to get into the back of the park where Vortex was standing, and the snow and the fog, that was just awe-inspiring. So I think being able to be there at a different time and being able to see the park in a different season is really kind of cool.
Absolutely. Let's just go around the table. Brent Hodge. Same question.
I mean, I think as a pass holder, it's a huge value add. I think it's also great that for new pass holders, it sort of kicks off your preseason. The fact that is offered, while most parks that do, especially a holiday event, do add that in, I think it's a great way to get people who may not be pass holders previously excited about the upcoming season. I think it's a great way to introduce them to the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Troy.
So having more days to go to Kings Island always adds to the pass holder value.
Yeah.
My favorite coaster type is usually wooden. So being able to ride Mystic Timbers and now the Racer, it's just cherry on top. Hopefully next season they'll add some more to that lineup.
Awesome. Now, David, I'm going to circle back to you. I don't know if you're having a connection issue or not. Are you able to answer the question? Looks like he is not. All right, Don, next question.
The next question, what's one thing WinterFest could improve or expand on to make the event even better for pass holders?
I'm going to save you for last, Brent, because you always seem to have opinions on this sort of stuff. So let's start with Brad Purdue.
I will add, can we add another coaster?
Okay.
I love the fact what Troy said a minute ago. We now have two great Woodies that we can ride, and maybe Don can speak to the validity of being able to add another coaster to the lineup, because we got the temperature issue and some of the manufacturer recommendations that they have to follow. So is that even something feasible that it could be done, Don?
It could be done. I mean, it depends too. Sometimes there's the off-season maintenance. Like right now, you would think with the Racer Open, why not Woodstock Express? But they're doing track work, on it. So there's different things like that would factor in. But I do know, at Hershey Park, they have a steel coaster there going during their winter event, so it can be done. So to see Diamondback added, I think that would be great.
Let's go to Troy next. What would you like to see added?
Brad pretty much nailed it. Roller coasters.
Okay. More roller coasters. All right. Chris Leach.
Well, I'm a coaster enthusiast, so I'll go with that too. But I think having enough rides open for the families, for the littles, so that they can come and take a break from walking around and looking at the lights and have a little bit of their opportunities.
Cool. David Bellamy, if you're with us, what would you like to see different about WinterFest?
I'm going to have to echo another coaster. I don't know how cold it would be to ride Diamondback in the cold, but If they can run a B&M coaster in the cold, I'm all for it.
Cool.
Yeah, there's some nights
Chris
of Han
Hughes.
as you get to the end of October where it's not much colder to ride Diamondback than it is for a lot of the Winterfest nights.
True.
I completely agree. Chris Hughes.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll echo another coaster, but I will also say that I would like to see additional entertainment, whether that is the expansion of the timing of shows, because I know this year pretty much every show is at the same time.
Right.
So would like to see, staggered shows. Would like to see some of the shows from previous years coming back. So What the Dickens, Play It Before Christmas, stuff like that.
Brent Hodge.
That to me is a huge thing. Staggered times, things on the 15, things on the half. So when you're walking around the park, there's almost a continual cycle of live entertainment. You're not going through any time period that you're walking around that there's not something happening. Bring back the trolley as an entertainment piece. While it's been great as a ride experience, I think the kinetics of having that moving throughout the event was a big miss, at least on my part, when that went away. Seating for shows, to me, a huge miss. We've got these temporary venues all over the park. We've got benches lined up behind the barricaded entrance to the beast, and benches aren't being reallocated. There's no place to sit. Would really help the event. Rotating shows a little bit, just keeping things a little fresher. On a 2 to 3 year cycle, Tinkers went from one show to Christmas Fever. Christmas Fever kind of got adapted into what we currently have, but it's now kind of stopped. Kind of going back to that. And to me, a huge thing that they already did, I think, this year, and I've seen moves toward, but continue the world building that, again, in this environment of Kings Island is different than any other event. By world building, I mean the whole drive-in experience with major set pieces, lighting, things layered on that nobody else is doing, and things that also aren't corporate because it's telling a Cincinnati story. It's not a generic holiday area. Tinseltown is great, but that could apply to anything. This unique story of Shooting Star Drive-In is totally Cincinnati driven. And that to me, and building on that with entertainment that ties into that, and almost a whole universe that builds out of these Winterfest areas, to me is the thing that they could continue to pursue, and freshening even those up. We've been stuck with the same general areas on the map since this event began, and some of the themes aren't even as relevant anymore. It's just because they're on the map, we keep doing them. To me, it's time to shake the whole thing up, almost a clean slate, and do Winterfest version, I guess, at this point, 3.0.
Don, I'm going to go ahead and ask you the same question, since it seems like we've got some interesting takes here.
I'm with Brent. I think, with the entertainment, he's right. There's not seating, that they're not using the venues correctly or how they could for that. So I would like to see a little bit more of that. Chris Hughes had a good point there too, with two of the most popular shows, at least, from my perspective, when I worked there, knowing what the guest feedback was, and also just, as a guest, you'd like to see those shows come back. I think, What the Dickens, was interactive. Guests seem to love that. So I think that one's a little bit of a miss. The trolley with the entertainment, it's fun for the guests to get on the trolley and, go up and down Coney Mall. But, that was always that surprise and delight kind of a thing for guests when the trolley was used for entertainment. You never knew what was going to pop up. You could be in Planet Snoopy, and then there it was, or you could be on International Street by the towers, popped up, or in, Coney Mall. So I think something like that, just that roving entertainment, I'd like to see some of that come back.
I'm going to go pitch my idea too. And I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but I think that first of all, if Kings Island could support it during the normal season, Winterfest most certainly could use another nice indoor theater like the Kings Island Theater, maybe even a little bit more modernized, maybe even bigger. But since they're doing like limited runs in there, it wouldn't make sense all the time. But if I had to choose another thing, keeping with the theme of more indoor stuff, I'd love to see Action Theater reopened with like, I mean, there's a million ideas you can have with sledding down a hill, chasing Frosty, anything like that. So that would be another nice like indoor attraction that's heated that could be done to just, you know, spice things up, because the first weekend was a little bit of an outlier being so cold, but normally it's okay up until right around the time it goes daily, and then sometimes it gets so cold that it's just not fun to be outside. Don, next question.
Next question. Do you think WinterFest offers enough variety for all age groups and families? Why or why not?
Let's start with David Bellamy. David's frozen again. Chris Leach.
I think I noticed with being, you know, a grandma, having to keep an eye out for my new pass holder grandson to see, you know, how he would react to some of the things that are happening. So, like I said, I would like to see a few more things for the littles. They closed up Camp Snoopy pretty tight, other than having the little craft area in the one storefront and a couple of the smaller rides. I'd like to see some more things for our littles that would keep them entertained.
Chris, is the Camp Snoopy, like the Beagle Scout Acres area, open? I haven't been back there yet during Winterfest. Did they open that?
It's open to be able to walk around, but they don't have anything going on.
The play area is open.
Is it?
Okay.
We didn't go back.
Play area is open, and obviously Soapbox is open. So that area, along with Linus's Mess Hall, as a food option. So the whole
Not
new
during
area
Winterfest. Not during Winterfest. It wasn't open the night we were there.
It's scheduled to be open, so it may have been due to temps. Some things weren't open.
You know it's cold when they have to close the hot dog stand, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I guess we'll transition to you, Brent Hodge. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, overall, I think, I'm coming at it from a little bit different place. My youngest is 10, so we've kind of graduated out of some of Planet Snoopy. But I think for us, it's an overall enough variety to keep everybody occupied.
Cool. Troy, what are your thoughts?
One thing I think it's missing is there needs to be maybe just a little bit more thrill, because it is a pretty family-friendly event. And, I mean, I take my nieces and nephews, and they have a blast. There's plenty to do there for them. But I'm assuming once they get a little bit older and they want to ride coasters, it goes back to coasters, not that many options. So,
yeah, I was actually, I'm honestly kind of a purist with Winterfest, where I could really care less what rides are open. I care way more about the ambiance and the shows and stuff. But I was shocked by how many people made their purchasing decision based on that the racer was going to be open. I wasn't going to go to Winterfest, but now I am because the racer's open. I didn't think that was a huge population of people, but it's there. You're not alone with that, Troy.
It's a time of year, Ryan. That's a time of year that people don't get a chance to ride racer. So you know, once the season's over, so that I could understand why some people would make their purchase because of that opportunity.
Do you, Chris? Then for those of you who are audio listeners, we're speaking with Chris Leach at this point. But do you believe that people would continue to make purchasing decisions based on that in the future, or do you think that it would just be this is the first time they ever got to ride racer during December?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that it might just be the fact that it's new. It's an opportunity to ride that classic coaster during a time that people don't get to. As far as next year, that might bring new families in if they have that opportunity. So it might be that some people have already had that opportunity, check that box and move on. But then other people who haven't had that opportunity going, oh man, they did it a second year. So it must have worked really well. So we'll see, how it's going to be for this year.
Yeah, I mean, and you made the point about kids. Like, that's such a good transitional ride that if a kid is just tall enough for racer, they want to ride nothing but that until they're tall enough for the next thing. So that might be the kids' attraction as well. It's a good point. Don, next question, please.
What does Winterfest mean to you personally? And why is it a must-attend event during the holidays?
I'm going to start with Brad, the family man, Brad Purdue.
It gives me the opportunity to take a family at a time of the year that I really enjoy, just as the holiday time, and to see the park in a totally different light, pardon the pun. But it's just got that warm and cozy feeling there at the park, even though the temperature outside is cold. It just gives you that warm and fuzzy feeling all over just being in the park. And just like you or others have said earlier, just walking around, enjoying the lights, seeing people enjoy themselves, grabbing something to eat. And like you said earlier, Ryan, it's not so much about the rides as just spending time with the family, walking around. And if you hit a ride, great. If you don't, if you watch a show, that's great. If you get to the sledding hill, fine. If not, we'll get it next time.
Absolutely. Same question, Troy.
Can you repeat the question?
Repeat the question, yes. It says, what does WinterFest mean to you personally, and why is it a must-attend event during the holidays?
Well, for me, being an enthusiast, it's just to ride more rides, honestly.
That's a good answer.
That's pretty much all I got.
No.
I mean, I get to
very-
use my food. I get to use my food plan some more, but honestly, it's just having more value to my pass. And
Well, the cool part about this, Troy, is that like it seems like a lot of the people on the panel here are kind of like, we're all coaster enthusiasts. Like, let's not kid ourselves in some way, shape, or form. But a lot of us are able to like make that turn where it's like, well, this is about the entertainment, and we're cool with that. But you feel differently. You're all about like, dude, I can get more rides in. I think that's cool that you have that perspective. I think that's cool.
That's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah. What about you, Chris Leach? Is it about the rides for you?
I do like the ride. I do like the rides. I think for me, it's heading into a season where we get to slow down a little bit and just enjoy being with each other and being able to see, run into friends that we don't normally get to see, because sometimes they're there during the summertime and sometimes they're not, or it's a place where you can take your family of all ages and find something that will tickle their fancy. So
cool. Awesome. David Bellamy, if you're with us, what does WinterFest mean to you personally, and why is it a must-attend event during the holidays? David Bellamy is not with us. Brent Hodge, same question.
I think for me, it is an event that, whether I'm with my family, with my kids, with my wife, or just by myself, I find myself just walking around with this goofy grin through the evening. And it's just because, again, it just feels right. And it's also a great time for me to connect, especially my kids, and my youngest and I have become really connected through times at Kings Island over the past year or two with the place I love. And even when I see members of like even leadership team, senior leadership team, introducing him to them, and them seeing how much the event and the work that goes into the event means to the youngest people, and just sort of sharing that experience with him.
Chris Hughes, same question. What does WinterFest mean to you?
It's a time to slow down and enjoy not just the rides, but what else the park has to offer. We go from mid-April to October, where visits are pretty hard hit with getting as many rides on Diamondback, Orion, Mystic Timbers, Racer, the Beast. And when November hits for WinterFest, it's time to slow down, enjoy time with friends and family. I know, like Brad and I, we're usually at the park together at least several times during this season. And it's kind of nice to just be able to walk the park and enjoy the atmosphere when we don't really feel like we need to go chasing after as many rides as we possibly can get.
I got to say, one of my favorite times of the year is when I meet with
I'm
Chris
sorry,
New
guys.
Year's
I
Eve.
feel like my computer is.
Okay, I think you're back with us, David. Okay, while we have this moment of connection, what does Winterfest mean to you? I don't think he can hear us. I'm sorry, Brad. Will you continue with your thoughts?
It's okay. My to reiterate what Chris said is being able to slow down. One of my favorite days of the park is going New Year's Eve, and all of us would just take a walk right after the fireworks went off, and we just kind of walk around the park as people are trying to get out of the parking lot, and just kind of walk around a little bit, take in the fact that it's New Year's Eve, enjoy each other's company before we head home. That's one of my favorite times of just walking around the park and just enjoying each other's company. Just because we're not worried about going and riding something, we're just enjoying each other's company and we're enjoying the atmosphere of the park. And that's one of my favorite times.
Absolutely. Don, what does Winterfest mean to you?
Well, for me, growing up as a child, one of my favorite things was when we'd get in a car, we'd drive around the neighborhood and check out, all the lights and the decor in everybody's houses and that. So, Winterfest, to me, it's being able to, kind of capture the spirit of the season, just the atmosphere of it. That's what I like the best about it. It's, the rides are great, the food's great, but it just puts you in the right mood for the season.
Yeah, totally cool.
How about you, Ryan?
To me personally, I mean, I think that it's cool because it's visiting a completely different place, and then you can make that argument for Haunt as well. If you go, whether you go in April or June or July, you're going there to ride Diamondback or Orion or Banshee or whatever. But when you go for Winterfest, you're attending the same property, but not necessarily for the same thing. So it's almost like it's a completely different park that you get to visit. Don, next question, please.
Well, this will be our final question, and this is for everyone. Kind of in one sentence, how would you convince someone to visit Winterfest for the first time this year?
One sentence. Chris Hughes, start with you.
Can I pass for now?
Whatever. Brent Hodge.
A fully immersive, exciting evening of fun. You have to just check it out.
Awesome. David Bellamy, if you're with us.
The 300-foot tall Christmas tree that you can't see anywhere else of Eiffel Tower. It's beautiful.
Cool. Chris Leach.
Well, I haven't done it yet, but ice skating on the fountain is an experience that you should try.
Sure. Troy.
I bought you a ticket. I kid, but as far as like the park goes, like convincing my girlfriend, she's a huge Disney fan and's been to the events at Disney, and I tell her every time, like, you think Disney's decor? Wait till I take you to Kings Island. It's gonna blow you away.
I mean, I can attest. I was just at Jollywood Nights the other night. I went to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. It's kind of apples to oranges, but I will say, like, overall, the total decor is better at Kings Island than it is at either of those parks.
Mm-hmm.
Hate to admit it.
It's a fun event. I had fun, but decor wise.
Oh yeah. If we talk about decor, anyway, we that's a whole different show. We'll have you back on for that. Brad Purdue.
I got to say, to convince them to come experience the park in a time where you think you shouldn't go to the park and see it completely lit up in Christmas lights, see the magic of the food, the fountain with ice skating, the music, the shows. It really is something special to go experience. And I think everyone should at least go try it once and go see if it's something that they want to make a tradition for themselves.
Chris Hughes, did you have enough time to finish the test?
I did. Thank you. No, I would just tell people to just step into the park, step into Christmas, be fully immersed with the atmosphere of Christmas within Kings Island.
Don, what about you?
I would just, tell them that, it's magical this time of the year. It's, seeing Kings Island in a way that you can't any other time of the year. And you got to go.
Yeah.
Ryan, what about you?
I would say very simply, it is Kings Island at its finest. That's the best way that I can describe it.
That's a good description.
Cool. Awesome.
Well, we
Cool. Well, thank
appreciate
you guys.
everybody's time joining us tonight to talk about WinterFest. Hopefully, Ryan and I, at some point we'll run into you at the park, for WinterFest. We both plan to go another time or two before it's all over. So again, thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank you
having me.
guys so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Well, that was fun. Thanks to everybody involved. Don, let's talk about Tower Topics t-shirts.
Well, Tower Topics t-shirts, limited time only. You can get, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I have a holiday themed Tower Topics t-shirt in green. It's a $22 shirt that includes shipping any size that you need. If you're interested in one, you have to order it by December 31st. And if you want one, message us at tower_topics, which is our X, or you can send me an email at donhelbig@themeparksbydon.com, and we'll send you the QR code. And once we get a code or the transaction goes through, it's only a matter of days before you'll get your shirt. So limited time only. Get in the holiday green.
In the holiday green. And it looks good on you, Don. Green is your color.
I do like this color. I like it a lot.
I do too. We'll be right back with your stories. Today's story starts with Annette W., Goshen, Ohio. She said, "My Kings Island story flashes back to a perfect summer day at Kings Island's water park about 10 years ago, and I was lazily drifting along the lazy river, floating in blissful peace. I was enjoying the tranquility when suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted something moving in the water next to me. My heart skipped a beat, and I realized it was a snake, coiling just inches from my float. All right, I'm out. Story over. I hate snakes. I hate snakes.
Why did it have to be snakes, right?
Why did it have to be snakes? Let's just say good thing I was in the water. I was out of there faster than a roller coaster I've ridden, trying to keep my composure while silently cursing the waterway for its unwelcome guests. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but I'll never look at that lazy river the same way again."
I'd imagine
Ew.
you would if a snake came
No.
up to your float.
Don, okay. You told me a story about Whitewater Canyon with a snake. Do you know what I'm talking about?
They get, first of all, it's a wooded area and that around Kings Island. So, if you have ever gone on behind the scene tours of the Beast, they're back there. And occasionally, you see them. I remember one time we were doing one of the tours and I was taking them down the path, to kind of go over where the tunnels were. And a snake kind of fell out of the tree, about 10
Ew.
feet in front of us. And I was like, okay, well, the tour goes back this way now. So we kind of turned back around because I'm not a fan of snakes either. But yeah, there were times, that I was aware of when I worked there that, you'd hear the call come over the radio, for landscaping to go out. And, there was a snake that got into either, like the lazy river at Soak City Water Park, or maybe it got in Whitewater Canyon. So yeah, they are around. And normally a lot of times in the spring, when they're first coming back out and everything, that's normally when you would see that. Not so much, mid to late summer, but yeah, it does happen. And I don't know what I'd do if I was in the water in Soak City and all of a sudden, you look down or, to your left or your right, and there's a snake right there.
Completely unfair. But no, you told me a specific story about Whitewater Canyon. I might have to lead you on this if you don't remember. But wasn't there people in front of you and they kept on like getting up out of their seats and the ride ops were all yelling at them? And it turned out like they hit a wave and a snake.
Oh yeah,
splashed
yeah.
into their-
They were freaking out because when they got one of the big splashes, in addition to all the water coming into the boat, the raft, a snake came with it and was like, moving around on the ground, and they were all freaking out. You're going to do that unless you love snakes. It's those things just freak a lot of people out. They're harmless, but for whatever reason, they're just kind of creepy to me.
I mean, I would probably not be very happy. I might get out and swim if a snake got him. That's only fair. They can't kick you out of the park for that, can they?
No, well, they shouldn't on that. But I mean, I remember, Son of Beast Station, that they had one of them came out of the, from the down the roof. They came down the pipe and they came out into the station. There's been other times that I knew that they'd gotten into the train. Maintenance would be working on the train in the morning, and one would be in there. So yeah, I mean they're around, and when you have a lot of trees, you got the river, back behind Orion and the racer on that side of the park, and that so it's yeah, they're around. Fortunately, you don't see them as often as you possibly could. There was a snake that was a regular. I mean, every day you'd ride the bat, and it'd be wrapped around one of the trees going down to get into the queue for it. So yeah, I mean they're around.
That's a wonderful story, Don. Thanks for nauseating me. If you want to submit your stories, no more snake stories. That's a house
No
rule
snake
now.
stories. No. We don't like the snake stories.
No more snake stories. But if you want to submit your Tower Topic story, or your Kings Island story, rather, tell them what to do.
Well, what you want to do is you want to send me an email, donhelbig@themeparksbydon.com, and put in the subject line story for TT, so I know how to separate it from other emails that are coming in, and just share your Kings Island memories. It could be a story like this, or it could be about the first time you rode the Beast, maybe your first time with Blue Ice Cream, maybe you had a favorite show, the first time you ever visited the park and you were blown away by just the atmosphere. Maybe you worked there, what your experience was doing that. You met your significant other there. Whatever it may be, we'd love to hear and share your story with our audience.
Yeah. With that being said, we'll be right back with the listener questions. Don, why don't you read the listener question? The first one
listener
today.
questions. Our first one comes from Justin M. from Defiance, Ohio. And Justin says, based on your recommendation, I made the trip down to Kings Island for WinterFest, and I was blown away. The shows I saw were incredible, and the parade felt like something straight out of Disney World. I even tried the meatloaf burger, and it was excellent. Of course, it was excellent. The only negative was trying to get in the park. It shouldn't take 30 minutes to get in. Do they really need to have people remove their toboggan hats at the turnstile? They need to be faster. Dollywood only takes a second, and you're in.
Touche. Were they removing their toboggan hats so they could match up the photos, you think?
Yeah, that would be the reason they would do that. I know, during the spring and summer, sometimes they'll ask guests to remove if they're wearing a hat. I did see some of that when I visited my first time this year for WinterFest, where there was backed up. It did take a little bit of time to get in. I don't know that it took 30 minutes, maybe 20 or so to get in. So maybe we were there the same day, but sometimes they do, they're shooting pictures for season passes. This is the time of year that a lot of new pass holders, because they get the free WinterFest visits this year, are there. So that's going to slow it down a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it's not, fast like Dollywood. He's correct here that it does just take, seconds to get in. They redid their whole system, and it's phenomenal. I know Six Flags Great American Chicago had a great system where, they scanned you right in. It was quick. So it always is a little bit slower with the entry experience at Kings Island. Part of it's the technology. Part of it is they're, doing season passes there, taking people's pictures. And so, yeah. And then checking, asking people to remove their toboggans. I'm sure that, I saw that happen a couple of times where they just asked people to take theirs off. They didn't ask me to take mine off. I had a Bengal toboggan on, and they didn't say anything about it. So I guess it might be, hit or miss, or depending on, if it maybe doesn't look like you, they have to ask, they have to check, because people do. We live in the world now where people try to, cheat the system, and people do give their passes and that to friends to try to get in and that. So yeah, you gotta check things out.
Yeah, I mean, so I can only draw from my, outside of Kings Island, and fortunately, this might become maybe a thing because Six Flags, the old Six Flags, was a lot more invested in technologies. Because it seemed like when we would do the Pick Six on the Attractions Group podcast, we would often have like, "Oh, Six Flags is using AI for this or whatever," but Disney does, you scan and you do the fingerprint. That takes a while. I'm not in favor of that. Universal, on the other hand, recently implemented that facial technology. It used to be that you'd scan your thing and have to show your ID. No, whether it was a day ticket or anything, you'd have to show your ID. Nowadays, the enrollment takes a minute, so it wouldn't necessarily have helped in your particular situation. But gosh, now I mean, I'm an annual pass holder to Universal, so they already have all this like in their system, But you scan, you glance at the thing, and it's good. It takes less time because with at Kings Island for some reason, and this has gotten better, but you scan your pass and it sits there and it loads, and then it pops up. And they're like, okay, you're good to go. This you scan and they do the facial recognition in less time than it takes for Kings Island to pull up your thing. So as that technology becomes more widely available, I could see them implementing something like that where it doesn't even necessarily need your picture. Your picture's irrelevant. It's because it has your face as an algorithm, and then it'll just scan. And heck, at that point, they don't even need somebody there. You scan your pass, it scans your face, the door's open. At Epic Universe, they may not even have turnstiles. They may just do facial rec, and there's somebody standing there with an iPad, and if somebody comes up red, they accost them there. So I would say I feel the frustration. I've definitely been there before, especially with Haunt, and then inherently the person you get behind, there's a problem with their pass or whatever, and they got to wait for a supervisor to come over and so on. But I would say that the cool part is it's going to get better. I think it's going to get better. Next listener question.
This comes from Rachel E., Cincinnati, Ohio. She says, is it just me and my kids, or is that tube sled hill a waste of time? I guess they're talking about WinterFest here. We were so disappointed.
What's there not to like? It's a carpet sled hill. Yeah, so I was hearing, I had a bunch of people texting me on Black Friday, in which I did not attend WinterFest because my family did Thanksgiving that night. And they were like, dude, the sledding hill, there's something with it. And you just dead stop at the bottom of like the slanted part. And
yeah, I didn't see anybody going past the bottom of it when I was there.
And it was funny because a bunch of people were telling me that, and I was like, oh, that's not that big of a deal, really. And so I went the Saturday night, and it was snowing, and I remember them closing it because of snow in the past, where because it gets too slick. It's not designed to have snow on top of it as well. But it was end of the night. It was freezing cold. There's nobody there. We get in line. We slide down. It's me, my friend Jeff. So we're both like grown adults, and then his son, who's 8. And Jeff and I, right when it planed out, we dead stopped, almost to the point where it like caught it, and we almost got rolled off. And then his son Noah went probably about 10 feet on the flat area. So I don't know what's going on with this thing, but it is definitely different this year.
Yeah, I did see several posts on social media about it. I saw one person described it as a dud. So it's something, if you're going to do it early in the night before the line backs up, because you certainly don't want to waste 30 to 45 minutes or longer, for this. If this is what we're hearing, that it's just not worth your time, because your time is valuable. It's a short night at WinterFest. So if this is of interest to you, make it one of the first things you do.
Yeah, entirely. Cool. All right. Hey, I'm Ryan Sir. That's Don Helbig. This is Tower Topics.